Who said football is for men only? It's not. Girls play just as good as boys. Those who saw at least one women's game know that it's no less spectacular.
Стереотипов в женском футболе много. Все думают, что так же.
There are a lot of stereotypes in women's football. Everyone thinks that just like with car driving, women are not made to play football. But I think it's complete nonsense, and in many cases, a woman can outplay any man.
Может дать фору абсолютно любому мужчине.
In today's episode, you'll find out how female Ukrainian football players debunk stereotypes, prove themselves, and represent the country.
Привет, девчонки.
Hello, girls. Hello. What are your names and what are you going to tell us today? Natya, Tatiana, Veronika. We're football players and today we will tell you why we chose women's football as the profession of our lives.
Женский футбол для меня.
Women's football is my life and sport. I don't know, it's hard to explain.
Это сложно объяснить.
It's what I've been doing all my life. It's what I love.
Чем я занимаюсь всю жизнь, то, что я люблю. Я не хочу сравнивать этот спорт с каким-либо.
I don't want to compare this sport with any other, and frankly, I don't want to call it women's because football is one for everyone.
Один для всех. Еще вот 5 лет назад меня спрашивали, ты же девочка.
Just 5 years ago, people were saying,
На самом деле,
"You're a girl, why do you play football?" At first, when I said I played women's football,
футбол мне как-то было, потому что люди это так.
it felt weird because of how people react to it. But now that I play in Europe, I'm proud to talk about it.
Могу сказать, что я родилась футболисткой. То есть это не...
I can say that I was born for football because it wasn't like someone brought me to a club or something.
Я даже не помню на самом деле.
I don't even remember when I first started playing. It was probably outside with some boys. I was about 6 at the time, but we were just having fun outside.
Понарошку. А потом...
Then a football club for boys appeared at my school. They put together a team, and I asked to train with them. The coach agreed.
И он согласился. Папа всегда...
Dad always supported me. Mom also did, but it's harder for mothers.
Мама это всегда сложнее. То есть я уехала...
When I was 14, I went to her son with Dad, and I live in Odessa, to take a look at their school, the conditions there, and so on. And Dad came back alone. Mom was shocked. I stayed there, and that's how my professional career started.
Так это все в профессиональном русле более-менее у меня закрутилось.
Я не можу передати вам оці.
I can't describe these emotions. When we play and win, it's these emotions that we constantly train for.
Тренуєшся. Граю я вже
I've been playing for about 13 years now. I've been in professional football since 2012. I was born a football player. I was into it since I was a kid. My uncle is an athlete, a football player. And someday I was invited to the Naftahimik team in Kiev. The team didn't last long and broke up. In 2013, I was invited to Zhilstroy 2. I'm in this club now. It's a Ukrainian football club.
в цьому клубі. Це український футбольний клуб.
В футболі я з дитинства.
I have been playing football since childhood. My story is not very interesting. I lived in a small town, and there were boys who played football. And I was the only girl living on that street. Obviously, I also wanted to have some fun. And all they did was play football. So I started playing with them.
І мені дозволили на районі грати.
They let me play with them. We grew up together, went to high school, and I kept playing with them. We once went to a regional game, and there was a coach who had his women's team in Khmelnytsky Oblast. He put me on the team, and it only went up from there. I went to competitions as part of that team, and coaches of other teams started noticing me there.
Частинкам. Потім футбол пропав.
Then I took a 2-year-long break from football when I was a college student.
Не було тому,
I no longer played with that team. I couldn't because I had to study.
треба було навчатися. І коли вже я була
When I was in year 4 with just 1 year left to study, I accidentally took part in a futsal competition in Ternopil, and they kept inviting me to play for their team.
і
With time, they put together a team and invited me to join. I started advancing my career. I moved from the Ternopil team to the Kharkiv team, from Kharkiv to Lehenda, from Lehenda to Turkey, and from Turkey to Spain, where I am right now.
З Туреччини на даний момент в Іспанії.
В Украине существует на данный момент 10 команд профессиональных. Могу сказать, что вот
Currently, there are 10 professional teams in Ukraine. I can say that in the period from when I was 14 to 17 years old, when I was still studying in Kherson, we had evening and sometimes morning trainings plus school. Naturally, I was ambitious. I wanted to play in the national team, so I trained on my own a lot.
в команде, я занималась сама.
When I returned home, I practiced in the stadium alone, juggled or learned Ronaldinho's tricks.
На стадионе или жонглировала, и учила финты Рональдиньо. Потом я уехала в Харьков. В Харькове, конечно, эта команда, мы стали...
Then I moved to Kharkiv. And the team in Kharkiv, well, we became champions. Each player was a star to me. I looked up to them. Here's how I can describe my experience in Russia. We did a lot of running. We had a lot of physical activity, just like when I left to play in Korea.
Такие же, как вот когда я уехала играть в Корею, мне иногда казалось, что я просто...
I sometimes thought I was in the army, but in Europe they focus on technique more. Technique and tactics are in the first place for them. I can't say why Europeans are not interior to teams that focus on physical training. I don't understand it. I don't know why this happens. Maybe it's genetics.
Физику поставить на первое место. Для меня это непонятно, я не знаю, почему так происходит, может, это генетика. На данный момент я играю во Франции.
I currently play in a French team. We train 5 times a week, mostly in the evening. But if I want to, many of our players study and have jobs, so we can go to gyms or attend additional training sessions.
И если есть время, мы можем посещать там тренажерные залы или тренировки дополнительные.
Спочатку мій режим тренувок.
When I played in the men's team, we trained 3 times a week. But my friends and I played every day.
Но з друзями ходили кожен день. Ми тренувалися завжди, це техніка.
We trained constantly. Technique was the most important thing, various passes and such. When I joined a professional club, there was more focus on the tactics.
Тактично вже техніка теж є, і буде.
Technique was still important, but had to play more tactically. Now we train every day, alternating between 1 and 2 sessions per day.
Одна-дві.
Зрозуміло, що якщо брати мою молодість...
Obviously, if we talk about my distant youth, there was nothing professional about it. We were given a football, divided into teams and played. But starting with Kostopol, where I trained at a professional lyceum, we trained twice a day, so it was completely different.
То так, там вже були двохразові тренування, там вже було зовсім інше, підготовка і тому подібне.
But honestly, I didn't. It is clear that if you take my youth, then there didn't smell anything professional.
Завжди був в моєму житті. Але коли я прийшла в Тернопіль, отам дійсно...
But when I came to Ternopil, everything truly changed. I think my football life began in Ternopil.
Там наш тренер...
Training there was really cool. Our coach focused a lot on both our technique and physical training. But what I liked the most was that he paid attention to our emotional state and always said that we must stay positive.
Вів завжди до того, що воно має бути завжди на позитиві. В Туреччині була зовсім інша робота. Там трохи...
I had a slightly different job in Turkey. Football is completely different there. We spent a lot of time in the gym, did a lot of jogging, and replaced the pitch covers very often.
Зараз Іспанія.
And now that I'm in Spain, it's probably the best time of my life. It's really cool there. Their training sessions take the smallest details into account. They focus on smart football a lot. They don't look at your technique as much because you must already be ready. They shouldn't have to teach you.
Вони не мають тебе вчити.
Сложностей хватало, начиная с того времени, когда...
There were enough difficulties, starting from when I left for Korea. The distance from my family increased by 12 hours. It was then that I really felt that I was missing my family, that they were far away.
Семья далеко. В футболе какие сложности были? Наверное...
As for the difficulties in football, it's probably when you aren't doing that great, when you don't score goals. when you're stuck in a rut and you need to get out of it. It's pretty hard in this regard.
Качели, да, вот в этом плане сложно.
Труднощі, коли ще
Back when I was a child, the difficulties were in that I wasn't allowed to play official games with boys.
своїй команді
I couldn't play with my team, only train.
це таке для мене було дуже обідно і
It was very hard and disappointing, so to say. When my professional career began, living home was difficult because I'd been a homebody.
На мою думку,
I think the biggest problem in my life was my psychological state, because I could do everything physically. That wasn't a difficulty. But psychologically, when you're going abroad and you don't know the language, you need to learn it. You don't really understand what some people say. You might do something wrong. So it's unpleasant, so to say.
так неприємно, можна сказати.
Девчонки играют, да, жестко. Бывает, что
Girls play harsh, too harsh sometimes. Women do not forgive. But women's football is more honest. If there is a struggle, then it's a true struggle. No one falls on the field. It's not a theater.
нет театра, там. Начинала я в
I
центре.
started in the center, in the midfield, when I was little. Then I was an attacker, left and right holding midfielder. But the central midfield remains my favorite position. Unfortunately, I rarely get to play in this position because I'm a fast player, probably for this reason.
По этой причине.
зараз я граю правий півзахисник.
I'm a right midfielder now, but I also sometimes play as the attacker. I started my career as a left midfielder. I don't care where to play, all I need is to just play.
Потрібно де грати, саме головне, щоб і грати.
Грала я на багатьох
I
право.
played in many positions. Right midfielder, central midfielder, right midfielder, defensive midfielder. And there was a time when I was an attacking midfielder.
Грати десь в атакуючій зоні.
I've always wanted to play in the attacking zone, but they put me in defense. Many coaches say they see me as a defender, but I'd like to play closer to the opponent's goal.
Я б хотіла грати там, ближче до воріт суперника.
Было много голов, которые мне нравятся. Там
There were a lot of goals that I like, spectacular and not so much. But a goal is a goal. The most memorable one is probably from when we were playing against the Wales team to play the World Cup.
Уэльса на выход к чемпионату мира. Тогда я забила гол Уэльсу.
I scored a goal, and my parents were at the stadium. It was in Lviv. There were so many people, and all of them were cheering for me. It was so awesome.
За тебя, и это было, конечно, супер вообще.
Кожний гол для мене
Each goal is special for me. It brings both joy and happiness, but most importantly, it helps the team win.
допомогти команді виграти.
Как думаешь, у вас существует
What do you think? Do you and the girls have a community? Do you support and communicate with each other?
друг дружку?
Да, звісно. У нас є
Yes, of course. We have a Viber group where we text who got penalties, whose turn it is to get the laundry, when advances and salaries will be paid.
такої, да, навчаємося.
Do you keep in touch with athletes abroad? Do you have friends among them?
Конечно, теперь
Of course, now we have a lot of friends and an ability to spend the night for free anywhere in the world.
Как думаешь,
How will this sport continue developing here?
развиваться?
Ну, мені здається,
I think everything will be great. We're working on it.
чим працюємо.
We hope it was interesting to you. Come cheer for us, and I assure you that women's football will surprise you. Mesdames et messieurs, au revoir. See you later. Adios.